I'd like you to take a moment to consider the question. Is confusing or categorizing Bollywood and Bhangra together when it just seems like the easiest thing to do, is that potentially a racist slur? That's what I'm going to explore, that question, in this video. To start off with, I'm going to play this video from Strictly Come Dancing, which came, I'm guessing, quite recently. If you're listening to this podcast, then I'll describe in a moment what happens. But to start off with, it's Balvinder and Julian doing a routine. Let's have a listen and watch.
Come on! Let's go. Oh,
We got.
I'll stop it there. There was some really nice bits afterwards about how much it meant to her. I don't know who they are. So if you do, wonderful, and please do watch it on Instagram or anywhere else. It was really nice. The video, the dancing, everything, it was so really nice. But there's some things I want to point out to you. And this is meant to be educational, but sometimes to be educational, you have to be provocative. So please keep that in mind. I'm not trying to upset anybody. And if a part of your brain goes, well, that's what he thinks, then hopefully that's, you can share with me what you think is wrong with what I'm saying, but just be prepared to open your mind to the idea that maybe you hadn't thought about it yet, what I'm about to say. So with that out of the way, it says there in the caption, just while Balvinder and Julian are bringing Bhangra Bollywood to the ballroom, this incredible couple choice is as precious as a sapphire. And the song is Sapphire by Ed Sheeran. And on the face of it, you would think, yeah, so what? What's your problem? Okay, we'll come back to what the problem is. I'm showing on my screen now a not very nice word. It's on Wikipedia. I won't say the word out, but we often refer to it as the N-word. So if you're watching this on video, you'll be able to see it. I'm sharing this. It's a racial slur directed at black people. Where does it come from? Well, the original meaning of this word, N-word, means black. And sometimes it's associated with, there's another word, Negro. And it's a derogatory term for many reasons. One is because it means black, but the other one is that some people, I think, as I understand the origins, as we go on to the next one, the P word, as we understand the origins, is that there are a couple of countries which the names are inspired by this N word, Nigeria, for example. And by using this word to represent all people of darker skin, typically African or Afro-American, it's a racial slur because it oversimplifies the diversity that exists not just in the continent of Africa, but in other parts of the world. So anybody who just sees dark skin and uses this N-word is being not just ignorant, but we say this is a racial slur because they're using this word for a very large number of people that all happen to have dark skin. So we all accept, I hope, by this time in 2025, using the N-word is a racial slur. It's racist. It's not allowed. And any time that somebody was to refer to a group of people who, let's assume they're not from Nigeria, just as an example. I'm using Nigeria, and there are other countries with the term in there. Let's say they're from South Africa. Let's say Aboriginal people from Australia. If anyone was to say those bunch of N-words, or even in the nicest possible way, those really lovely N-words, we should, all as a society, call it out and say, why are you doing that? That's wrong. It's a racial slur. So now let's get a little bit more specific to the P word, an ethnic slur. which many people of brown skin are called. Here in the UK, I've had it to me a few times, not that many, but people might shout out the P word or ask you the question, are you a P word? Where does this come from? Well, in South Asia, there are many countries. There is the country of India. There is Sri Lanka. There's Bangladesh. There is the country of Pakistan, of which there are many ethnic groups in Pakistan. There's, it's not one group of people. So anyone from outside of that, or even inside of that, that uses the P word, we should say that's wrong, because you're oversimplifying a diverse group of cultures. And if anything, Pakistan is not an ethnic group as well. That's just on top of it, So a country like Nigeria, as I understand, there are at least four ethnic groups in Nigeria. So anybody from the outside of using the N word or the P word who uses that word, what they're doing is they're taking people of dark skin and saying, oh, I think I know what you are. And they're simplifying it and saying, you are the N word, you are the P word. Sometimes it's not meant. In the early days, I'm sure it wasn't meant as offensive. It wasn't meant as racist, but it was a racial slur. It was whether you might call it a slip of the tongue, but more importantly, it revealed how narrow their view of the world is, or was, and still is perhaps. So if you're with me so far, and I think I'm preaching to the choir mostly who are listening to me right now, if that's an acceptable term, meaning to say, I would be super surprised if by the time you got to this point in this video or this podcast, you're like, no, I don't know what he's talking about. I would be super surprised, is all I'm trying to say. So that's the N word and the P word. Now, let's do this. I'm going to share a map on my screen. It's of the country. It's on maps of India. It shows India, but it also shows other countries. It shows Afghanistan. It shows Pakistan. It shows Nepal, China, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and then, of course, India in there. What I'm particularly wanting people to focus on, if you can see this on the video, is notice where Mumbai is, and we'll come back to that as well. That it's called Mumbai. It used to be called Bombay for a while. But also on the map, you'll see I'll see if my mouse will work for the video, but towards the north, there's a city called Lahore, or many people pronounce it Lor. That is not in the country of India. It's on the border, very close to the border, but it's in the country of Pakistan. On the India side is a city called Amritsar, by the way. And these two cities, I think many people would suggest Lahore because it's the larger one. If you think of Punjab and where bhangra supposedly comes from, Lahore would be seen as the capital of that region. So technically speaking, most of Punjab is in Pakistan. And the capital of Punjab is in Pakistan. It's just that because the country was split, 1947, there's an Indian state of Punjab and then there's a Pakistan state of Punjab. The Pakistan state of Punjab is significantly larger than the Indian state of Punjab. The point being, although Punjab exists in India and in Pakistan, the point being that the distance from Lahore, if we were to use that as the center of Punjab, you can use Amritsar if you want, you're going a bit further away, just a little bit, all the way to Mumbai, which is considered the capital of the movie industry, the Hindi movie industry, often referred to as Bollywood, and I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll come back to that point in a moment. There's about 2,000 kilometers between that region. That's a big distance, especially of the world's most populous nations. Pakistan, of course, is very populated, and so is India. And India is number one most populated country in the world now. So the number of people in that region is many, many hundreds of millions of people. I tried to comprehend that for a moment. So imagine the cultural difference between somewhere like Lahore, which is a different country, to Mumbai, 2,000 kilometers. The number of languages in that distance, number of the way food is eaten, so many differences. Now, I'll just come back to Mumbai, which is what it got renamed, I think, 1997. I might have got that detail. I'm sure it was the late 90s. It was the late 90s. I might not have the exact date. Not too important. The point is more than 20 years ago. So the term Bollywood, which was probably coined by a journalist or something like that and stuck like mud, is a horrible term. I mean, people in India use it from my observation, but it's a horrible term because first of all, it's not relevant anymore. If anything, it should be called Mollywood. But second, why copy the word from Hollywood? Because that's where it comes from. Because that gives the assumption that somehow Hollywood were was like base camp or, ground zero of where movies were made. But it's not true anymore. There's so many movies are made in the country of India. And the other thing is, India has multiple movie industries. So you've got the Mumbai-based one, which is essentially Hindi. Then you've got the South India ones. Then you've got North India ones. It's a country in which multiple movies, multiple movie industries exist because they use different languages, different actors, different styles, and so on. Whereas somewhere like the United States of America is essentially more heterogeneous. If you get movies made in Hollywood and a movie made in New York, they're not that different. They are different. There's thousands of miles of difference between those two sides of a country. But the diversity in a country like India is much greater. I hope you will agree. Either which way, movies made in New York shouldn't be called Hollywood. It wouldn't make a lot of sense because it's all the way on the other side of a big country. I hope I'm not saying anything too disagreeable, but the point that I hope you took away from that little section is that there's so much diversity between Lahore, the capital of Punjab, so to speak, the old region of Punjab, and Mumbai, that as soon as people associate something that comes from Punjab with being something that's 2,000 kilometers away, you've got to just question in your mind a little bit, like, isn't that a little bit racist? A little bit? Just a little bit. In the same way as calling all people of dark skin the N-word and all people of brown skin, South Asian appearance, the P-word, isn't associating anything to do with bhangra automatically with Bollywood for absolutely no real reason other than color of skin or music sounds a bit similar or something. Isn't that a slur? I think it is. Another thing to think about. I'm sharing on my map on the screen the distance between somewhere like Dublin and Cannes. So Cannes is where the movie festivals happen. You might equate that a bit to Mumbai. They take movies seriously. And Dublin, 2,000 kilometers. In the case of in Europe, there's two bodies of water in the way. So you'd have to get a flight. And there's a lot less people. But the point is the cultural difference between Dublin, which you might associate, Irish accent, certain types of drink, with Cannes, again, different accent, different types of thinking, different types of culture, different types. If someone out in the world said, I don't know, the Irish and their movie industry would like Cannes, or something like this, you would think that's absurd. You would think, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Yet it's the equivalent absurdity of confusing something from Punjab with something from Mumbai. It's the equivalent. And every time someone does it, they're essentially saying, you brown people are all the same. It's a racial slur. And now I'll just finish on people in Europe will understand what I just said more, but let's think about the United States. You've got two cities which have their own unique their reputation for cultural, let's say, heritage or identity, New York and New Orleans. They're quite different. A similar distance. So New York to New Orleans, Lahore to Mumbai, similar distance. But the population difference and the language differences between Lahore and Mumbai is much, much more significant. So if you were to call, I don't know, let's just say this, I hope no one's going to be too upset about this and lose any sleep, but if you were to say all those Yankees or all those New Yorkers, but you're referring to New Orleans or vice versa, as far as I know, Carnival happens in New Orleans. Again, I'm being a little bit ignorant here, but, there's certain things that happen in New Orleans that don't happen in New York. So if you say all those carnivals, all those New York people, or people from New York like carnivals or something, and I think carnivals do happen, but you get my point, right? It's like, you got to be a little bit sort of like, I'm not just going to clump all these people up as the same, even though it's one nation of the United States of America. The way that people from New York are and the way people from New Orleans are a bit different. And when people, if I go back to that Instagram video of Strictly Come Dancing, and it says here, Balwinder and Julian are bringing bhangra Bollywood. Where did the Bollywood come from? Who asked for that? When did they ever say Bollywood in the thing? It's just someone is writing this from the BBC, and they have next to no idea of cultural identity or the cultural sensitivity of this. So They've gone and done that. No one's corrected them. The other thing is, at the end here, the lady, Balwinder is saying to him, he looks so Indian or something. He dances. Don't get me wrong. The dancing was really good. He looks like an Arab. Like, I don't know if anyone noticed. He looks like something from Aladdin. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything like that. But the way he's dressed, no one who does Bhangra dresses like that. I mean, they've got little handkerchiefs on their hands. That's about as close as you get. But the clothing style and all of that, it's much more akin to someone rubbing a genie and a genie coming out and saying, "Give me 3 wishes." What's that got to do with Punjab? I mean, there's a lot of cultural mix between Persia and Iran and so on, and Arabia with Punjab. There is, but this one, it's pushing it in the same way as if someone comes on and puts belly dancing coins on their, they're doing belly dancing essentially. So on their hips, they're putting these coins and saying it's Bhangra. It's like they're clearly confused about something. We shouldn't allow this to happen. So I'll go back to the original question. Is confusing Bollywood with Bhangra a racial slur? And are we now in a time where this needs to stop? I hope you will, either if you disagree with me, share your comments. But if you agree with me, I hope you will share this podcast with other people so that we can all think more carefully every time we clump up brown people that they all must be Bollywood. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.